Hey guys, today we're gonna make a simple free flow mandala. You don't need much artistic experience, just sit and follow along. I hope you enjoy this. All right, let's have some fun. For this exercise, you're gonna need your circle tool, you're gonna need your gel pens, a mechanical pencil, and your black paper book. All right, let's begin. Try to find a space within here that must be the center of the page. So let's say I just make a little dot here, and now if you see the circle tool, there's a center point marking right here. So I'm going to place that marking just above the little dot here, and I'm going to make a circle around it. Right, simple. So now you see you have the center of the circle, and you have the perimeter. What I'm gonna do is try to just in a rough way make like 3 or 4 gentle circles around it. This exercise is called free flow mandala, where we don't want to think too much or spend too much time in drawing, but enjoy the benefits of painting. So in the start, let me just run you through what's gonna happen. We're gonna use all of these different colors, and slowly we're gonna build it up. Okay, so in the start, I'm gonna ask you to do some activities. Just follow along, and it'll start making sense to you why you're doing what you're doing after a while. So start with purple and just make a few tiny dots here. And then as I move outward, I'm gonna make my dots slightly bigger. I'm gonna probably use red for this, yeah. You don't have to stay within the lines. It's just a basic grid to help you understand the image and where you can paint. As you see, like my red dots are slightly bigger, and as I go outward, I'm making my dots bigger, right? Right, now I'm gonna switch colors again, and this time I go to magenta. Same principle. The outer dots are slightly bigger, and as you go towards the inside, they're slightly smaller. So I'm going super fast because I need to pack in a lesson within 20 minutes. But honestly, this is the kind of exercise I would strongly recommend you to slow down and enjoy each dot. See how the colors bleed. And the only rule here you keep in mind is as you go outside, the dot sizes increase. Maybe a few more. All right. We're gonna switch colors to pink. I'm gonna go brighter now. So a student of mine, Karthik, asked me really cool questions like, when do you know when to use the big dots and when to use the small dots? And for this, oh, here's a happy little mistake. That's no problem. I'm just gonna go around it and paint. Right, so this student of mine, Karthik, asked me, when do you know when to use big dots and when do you know how to use small dots? He recently started taking some tutorials, and he recently painted the sunset video which I just posted. Now, in general, it doesn't matter if it's a big dot or a small dot, but dots have a relationship to each other. So now, whenever we're making art, one of the bigger challenges is we have a 3D object and we're trying to fit it in a 2D kind of boundary. So how do you do that? Basically, if I had to draw something, this is a 3D object, and if I had to paint it here, maybe these colors would be lighter because there's more light source from here, and these colors would be slightly darker here. So this will, and because of this light shadow, we see a 3D image kind of. Now there are many other ways you can trick your brain into making something look 3D. So let me give you a simple example here. Now, alone the dot is just a dot, right? But the moment I start increasing the sizes of the dot, there's a relationship between the dots. Now it appears as if this dot is closer towards you and this dot is further away, right? And that's the whole thing. Like, if you want to make things look 3D, even when you see that sunset video, when I'm closer towards the waves, my dots get bigger, and in the horizon, my dots are getting smaller. So using these big and small dots, we can make something look a bit more 3D and add some depth to it. Another cool way to add depth to things is, because we're not shading and color mixing, we have very hard solid colors here. One of the reasons I want it to look like it's popping out, I keep the darker colors and the smaller dots down, and the brighter and the bigger dots start coming outside. Soon you'll start noticing how it looks with these slightly bigger dots towards the outside. Next, I am gonna use orange. Sometimes if you feel that the ink's drying up, just give it a little shake. You can even add a little thing here to see how the pens are working. Right, does it look like now the orange is kind of popping out? And I'm gonna keep going here. Normally, if I'm not recording a video, I would just keep moving my book around because these parts would be wet. But this time, because I have a camera right here, I'm just gonna move my position and paint from the other side. Something I knew for a very long time, but there's more and more actual data and research coming out, is that the more we type, lesser we use our brains, versus holding a pen to write something. There's a lot more involved, and basically, long story short, the smartest people in the world still use a pen and a paper to make notes. And something I've said before as well, there is immense power in a person sitting down with their thoughts and a pen. Oh, messed it up, but I'm gonna come back to this. So now we're gonna add some yellows towards the outside. This will help you understand why the bigger dots and smaller dots have a relationship. Like I said, take your own sweet time for the dots, especially with the bigger dots. Let the color bleed into the paper. If you want that nice, vibrant, popping effect. Now I'm gonna use white. I'm gonna come back to all the colors and fill in all the gaps, but right now I wanna just explain how using small dots and big dots and different colors you can make something appear 3D. Now, because I'm on the edge of the circle, I'm gonna make half a dot here with my white. All right. What I love about exercises like this is sometimes I don't know what to draw, but I really know the benefits and the mental health benefits and advantages of just painting, of filling stuff. And it's a very therapeutic and wonderfully relaxing feeling. So when I don't have a big plan, I'm not working for some gallery, it's just easy to pick up these simple tricks that I devised over a while and just get into the flow of painting. So keep telling a lot of adults you don't need to know how to draw to be able to paint. Dots provide that beautiful opportunity. We're not learning the science of color wheels, color mixing, and a lot of us might not be using that kind of information in our lives, at least not at a beginner stage. And to take people who have no artistic experience or have superb creativity roadblocks that they set for themselves and get them comfortable enough to be able to just play with paints. I find immense joy in that. A lot of my friends also and adults that I know can't afford to carry around a big canvas with them or whatever when they want to relax for 15-20 minutes. What I love about this medium, and eventually that turned into a kit, was just in a small bag I could carry 20 minutes of peace wherever I go. Became a much better alternative to scrolling or laptops or just 20 minutes of doing this, and I could process some of my difficult thoughts. If I would just be bored, get rid of boredom, get rid of a lot of anxious energy. Yeah, just feel great, kind of like an exercise, a 20-minute HIIT workout for the mind. Alright, now do you see how it's slowly popping? I'm gonna complete the other sides with similar coloring. So I'm gonna go back, find wherever I could add a bit more purple and then red, magenta, and keep going forward, right? Alright, now that this is a bit dry, I can try fixing it. I don't like these hard tutorials or even any painting where I have to use colors in this sequence and first use this, then use this. My general principle is with black papers, try to use the darker colors first because they don't pop so much. And then once you get an idea of what your image is going to look like or be like, that's a great time to just add more colors as you please. And because it's dots, we're really not layering. We work like pixels, so everything, there'll always be a little space somewhere to add something. Maybe there could be a bit more magenta now. So in some of these exercises, like because we aren't hard sketching our image or whatever, what I really like about dots is that, let's say if I want to make something like a triangle, right? I don't have to draw the triangle and then go over it again and again. I could just take the points of the triangle, then add a few dots, a few dots, a few dots. And then if I keep adding more dots, it eventually becomes a line, right? So you don't need to hard plan your sketch. Even if you get the edges, you somewhat see and you can put those points there, then you can go deeper. So here I knew that I wanted to make something pop. I put like a few dots here. And now I'm just going in and I'm gonna keep adding more and more and more dots. An exercise like this is so cool because you're not working with oil paints, water paints, and you have to wait for like a lot of time before thing dries up and you can get back to it. Something amazing about these gel pens is that they dry super quickly. And this technique, like you could do this with gold, silver and white pens as well. But yeah, like I like designs and patterns like these, where I can just pick up where I left off and come back to it. Something. Oh, okay. This is something I don't like. Having it just next to each other. I should have rather used a different color. But maybe I'm just gonna talk this over. Right, so this is gonna be a slightly longer tutorial, but I strongly encourage you guys to yeah, take your own time on it. Like if you want, put on some music or take a break if it's too much, and then come back to it after a bit. Okay. This part is fairly wet, so I'm just gonna switch it and make it like this. Sometimes I like to just pre-make the little circles so I can fill them out later. And if you have difficulty making these circles, it's okay. Like, they don't need to be exactly round or perfect. Don't get stuck there. When the human eye looks at all of these together, it doesn't notice like the imperfection in one of them. It's just like the collective looks really nice. No one's assessing individual dots except for you. So as long as you have put some good energy there, enjoyed the process, the artwork's pretty much gonna reflect that.
I find it very hard to explain to other adults. I mean, the moment I tell them I'm an artist and they tell me, oh, but what about AI? And it's super hard to explain to them what this feeling is, what this experience is. And as long as I can give and deliver this experience, people and humans feel it. I think artists are pretty safe. I also feel everyone has capabilities of, like, one is artist as a profession and the other one is artistic capabilities and creative capabilities. And people think creativity is a gift, but I kind of started drawing as an adult, like after I was 22. I don't think creativity is a gift. I think creativity is a muscle. One thing that happened with me when I started drawing is, from the moment I made my first decent drawing, every night instead of scrolling, I would paint a bit no matter what and go to sleep. Sometimes I didn't even want to paint, but I still kept at it. And I guess those were the times that really mattered too, because it took me somewhere deeper. So yeah, like, creativity is a muscle, and the more I practiced art, I could see myself being creative and getting out of or handling situations a lot better. So yeah, often human beings don't need to fight or over stress or whatever. If you patiently sit with your thoughts, I bet there's a creative solution for almost every problem. There's an out of the box idea for almost every problem that we have. Unfortunately, we don't tap into that energy when we're stressed. That energy comes in when you can somehow break those loops that are running in your mind, your constant worry loops. And that's exactly when that spontaneous burst of knowledge, creativity, problem solving will hit your brain. As long as you're in fight or flight response, the thought quality is always going to be shitty. If kids are watching this, I'm sorry for my language. But I rather not use scripts and talk to you straight from my heart. I think I would convey more meaning just by sharing what's on my mind without letting ChatGPT create a fancy little script. And it would sound nice, but it wouldn't be able to convey the meaning or be able to actually teach you. Alright, guys, do you see it like slowly shaping up and popping more? I hope this makes sense now, how smaller dots with bigger dots create this kind of 3D effect. So I see there could be a bit more here. Add some more dots there. See again, a tiny happy mistake. And even after like years of doing this, sometimes I'm so excited and in it, I just forget. Right, so we've been painting for 40 minutes now, just on a single piece of paper and putting all our energy inside. And I want you to ask yourself, like, how do you feel? Has this exercise been fun for you? I'm gonna let this dry. Maybe that's too small, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. Right, like I said, and I'm gonna remind you again, bigger circles towards the edge, and only in the last color, like white, we're gonna create some half dots. In my journey as an artist, I've tried spray paints, watercolors, tattooing, many different mediums. But something that stuck to me always was dots. Having a full-time job meant I didn't have an elaborate setup or an art studio or that kind of time. But having these little books and pens always with me was super therapeutic, and even if I didn't have a big setup, a few little dots, and I would feel great again. No matter how challenging or upsetting that day was, or even if I had a happy day and I wanted to remember it. But I didn't want to like sit for hours and hours and hours to make some big masterpiece or whatever. These simple little exercises with dots proved to be so effective at reclaiming my focus and keeping my mental health in check. Over years, I noticed that if there would be days where I didn't squeeze in this 20-minute painting or 30-minute painting, those days just didn't feel as nice. I didn't remember those days well. I felt more hazy. And then I would just sit and do this exercise. And all my problems would go away, suddenly get amazing clarity. Strange, right? Sometimes the biggest problems that you want to solve, you might not be able to solve it by constantly thinking about that problem. And that's the power of art. I've told you guys before that I didn't start this to become an artist. For me, this was just a way to cope with just what life was bringing towards me, manage my emotions, understand life. I was a young kid who suddenly left his country, his culture, and far away to process all the changes. Art was just a beautiful tool. We've been painting for about 45 minutes now. I hope you all have been enjoying this process as much as I have. Now, there have been times that I've been so lost in the draw for like hours, I forgot to move and even stretch. So I would strongly recommend that every few minutes or something, just like crack your back, stretch, move a little, and then come back to it. Something humans do a lot is that when we're going through an actual big problem in life, we'll start inventing tiny little ones because we don't want to think about that big problem. And somehow art's been really nice to not just make me think what I want to think, but also in these moments I've ended up figuring out the tricks my mind plays and how sometimes I don't want to think about the real problems, so I focus on creating other tiny problems for me. And I guess we live in a distraction economy. It's super easy to get distracted, but some problems kind of don't go away by being distracted or not thinking about it or shutting yourself to it. Some things just happen when we process them, and everyone's gonna go through some intensely difficult emotions in their life, and art's gonna just be a really cool way for you to process some of these emotions. I love being in that state where you unconsciously aware about the next dot you're going to place or planning it, and these empty little gaps, they somehow just tell you, okay, next dot could go here, I could fit one more in here. And I like that stage of the painting. It's very satisfying. All right, it's shaping up. Do you see it pop now? Does it look like it's taking you inside a little bit? So don't be afraid to add as many dots as you can. Something I want to remind you is, and I've said this before, is life doesn't give you many opportunities to make mistakes, or these mistakes are incredibly expensive and hurtful. But when it comes to art, the only way to move forward is by having fun and making a lot of happy mistakes. All right, I could stop anytime right now, but this is just so much fun. I wanted this class to be a 20-minute class to quickly show you how big and small dots create depth. But I don't like to just show you how to do it, to show you the stuff first. I like to do an exercise, and eventually with that exercise we discover what's going on. Okay, you see how I made a little mistake, happy mistake here? That's fine, don't worry about it. Always fix it with a bit of brighter color. on top, and it's gone. All right. I am super happy with it. What do you guys think? Let me know. So that's your free flow dot mandala, and I'm just gonna show you guys what it looks with UV lights. Cool, right? Eventually, if you wanna take your art project to the next level, you could always cut out this circle and add a little magnet behind